Welcome to Hey, it's Carly Rae's Book Club. This is Book Hour where authors will talk their latest novels, reveal their writing process, and tell us what inspired them to write. I'm your host, Carly Rae. Today, author and public speaker Colleen Murphy joins us to chat about her new book, Murphys Don't Quit. Colleen's daughter Lauren suffered severe brain damage after a tragic accident, and Colleen takes readers on her family's journey of heartbreak, hope, resilience, allowing readers to get a glimpse into how they overcame a dire time in their lives. We'll find out more right after this. Welcome, Colleen. I'm so excited to have you on Book Hour.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Now tell us where you're joining us from.
St. Louis, Missouri.
And is it cold there today?
Today it's about 50, so it's not too bad. But tomorrow you never know with St. Louis, it changes quickly.
Now, Murphys Don't Quit is a powerful story of heartbreak, hope, and resilience. Tell viewers who haven't heard of the book yet what they can expect.
So you can expect pretty much an emotional roller coaster. And I think, now that the book came out in October and, I've gotten a lot of feedback. And I think what most people are surprised by is that it's actually pretty funny, which I kind of have an inappropriate sense of humor, which kind of diffuses the subject matter because, some of it is pretty tragic. And, my daughter really suffered a severe life-changing injury, and there is funny stuff sprinkled throughout, and just the way the whole family had to deal with everything. And we have a big family, so I have 6 other kids other than Lauren, so you can imagine just the chaos that surrounded while I was kind of going piecing her back together. So I think it's emotional. It'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry. It's sometimes on the same page. So that's what I'm most proud of, is that it's not just a story about heartbreak.
Now, this book is raw and emotional, as you said, but you truly invite readers into your life to see what your entire family went through. Was there one part that was most difficult for you to write?
I think probably the first couple chapters. And I think probably because my writing style is pretty humorous. And in those first couple chapters, there wasn't much that you could find that's funny in that. So those were probably the hardest to write about because they were, her prognosis was terrible and it was tough. It was really, really tough to see your child, on life support, just day by day, minute by minute, to see if she was even going to survive. So those were the hardest parts to write about.
Yeah. In Murphys Don't Quit, you write about 5 keys to unlock hope. Tell viewers about those keys.
Sure. And that's also what we do when we do public speaking. It's we turn it into the 5 lessons we learned. Number 1 is show up, basically and it's kind of like a roadmap to what to do, when somebody that's going through something tragic, and it really is, things that I learned throughout my journey that I didn't even know I needed to learn, things, the way I look at people that are going through something hard that I wouldn't show up before, so show up, find your cheerleader. We all need somebody that's going to help cheer us on. Kindness is free, which is, we speak to a lot of schools, and especially that one, it doesn't cost any money to be kind, and sometimes we're just kind of embarrassed to do something, out of the box. And that would be weird. No, it's not weird. If you have the inkling to do something kind, do it. Work hard and never give up. Those are the 5 keys. And, those lessons are kind of intertwined throughout the book, but, they're simple and they're universal, but yet we don't always do it.
Now, how did you come up with the 5 keys? Was it just something as you were kind of starting to brainstorm, or?
Yes. And actually we were, right when we started doing public speaking, we were selected to do the commencement address for a university here in St. Louis. And we had just started telling our story. And I knew that I somehow had to, tell the story, but yet make it about the graduates, something that they could take away other than just my daughter's inspiring story. It needed to be something that would inspire them to go forward with some type of lesson. So that's kind of what inspired coming up with the 5 keys. And it's kind of grown legs and taken off from there.
Now, on Goodreads, there are so many amazing reviews for Murphys Don't Quit. Did you always want to bring the story full circle in the book and allow readers to see how far Lauren has come?
Yes, and I wasn't sure. It was hard too to come up with an ending because her story is still not over. And we're still, the pandemic kind of sidelined us a little bit, like everybody else. But yeah, I knew that I really wanted this story out there, and we were pretty open with our Caring Bridge and social media and all of that stuff. But we told a lot of the story, but with social media, you only put the good stuff out there. And everyone has, the profile picture, is this big. So you look really skinny, you look great, but I wanted to show everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that's what I did. And the book shows not only, what happened, but my inner thoughts and feelings. And that's kind of a scary, vulnerable thing to put out there. I thought, oh God, now everybody's going to know how crazy I really am. But I'm really, the feedback's been great. And I'm glad that I showed that vulnerability because I feel like the book is real.
Now, did your children help you at all?
So they did not. And I was, there's some things in there that I'm like, how are they going to feel about that? I didn't ask permission. I figured I'd ask for forgiveness because as I was gone piecing Lauren back together, I had kids of all ages. Now my 17-year-old was at home with dad in charge, who's just oblivious. So she basically had no curfew and could sneak all the beer cans she wanted into soccer socks, and he was oblivious. So there's all of that sprinkled throughout too, because, I still had, teenagers to deal with while we're dealing with family crisis, that, life doesn't stop just because I'm trying to piece one child back together. There's still a lot of chaos going on. So I did share some of those stories, but they were all, fine with it.
Yeah. Now, if you could pick one part of the book that is your favorite, which one would it be?
Oh gosh. I think it's the things that other people did for us. And I think the things that is really cool for other people to read, it's when I talk about Taylor Swift came to visit, and she also gave us $25,000 to fly my family back and forth from LA. And then my favorite thing, young people wouldn't think this is as big of a deal as Taylor Swift, but Rick Springfield, who was my teen idol, Jesse's girl, for you young ones that don't know who he is. Somebody reached out to his camp and let him know about the accident, and he called me, and that was just unreal. So that was really cool for me to see, like, my teen idol was such a good egg. So that's probably one of my favorite parts of the book, but there's some other parts too that are like some of the hard stuff. I think those are also my favorites. I like to say it's the positive things, but the really, really low times, it's hard to say, but I would say probably the most positive, uplifting thing is when I had the celebrity support.
Now, was there ever a time in the process of writing Murphy's Don't Quit you thought, I can't do this? Like it was too hard to write?
Yeah, no, good question. No. And I think because I waited a long time before I wrote it. And again, like I said, my writing style is the humorous side. And for a long time, I wasn't laughing. Lauren's recovery has been long, and we're almost 9 years out. So I was probably at about the 6-year mark before I could I knew I always wanted to do it. And I had some earlier writings that were kind of dark, but I was able to go back to those and use some of that. But I wanted it to not be dark. I wanted the story to not have like a dark undertone, but I waited 6 years to do it. And once I started from start to finish, it took me 67 days. So it was kind of like, phew, I was ready, and it consumed me for those 67 days, but morning, noon, and night, that's all I did was write.
Yeah. Now, did you always want it titled Murphy's Don't Quit?
No, actually, my publisher and a couple writers conferences changed that. So that was not my first love, but that is, our website is Murphy's Don't Quit, and that's been our family mantra. So it worked, and I didn't hate it. But the title I wanted was, and I get why it didn't make sense, but to me it was, near and dear to my heart, but it was Lauren's Jane Doe name. And for mom, it was kind of like, that's not her name. But it was Trauma Foxtrot 5395. And it even took, once they even identified her, it took them a few days to even change her bracelet to Lauren Murphy. And it drove me crazy because I'm like, her name is not Trauma Foxtrot 5395. So that was the original title, which I'm sure people would have no clue what it was about. But, I was okay with letting it go and changing it.
Well, there you have it. You heard Colleen talk all things Murphy's Don't Quit. Stay tuned, because when we come back, we'll find out more about Colleen's writing process. back to Book Hour. I'm your host, Carly Rae, here with Colleen Murphy. Now, Colleen, walk us through your writing process for Murphy's Don't Quit. Did you have to write in the mornings or at night or outline? You said it took you 67 days.
Yeah, yeah. So I made a little bit of an outline, and so I kind of knew where the book was going to end, and I knew where it would start. It would start with the phone call, and and I knew where the ending was going to be, but I wasn't really sure where I was going to take it until I started writing. I kind of knew the first couple chapters, and it kind of, I really, my mantra is to fly by the seat of my pants. I'm so type B. I'm like Z. It's not. My husband's very type A, and I just kind of wanted to see where it would take me. And I started in the morning, and there were some nights it was 3 in the morning. I was still writing.
Now, you did say it took you 67 days. Does that include the editing process, or how long did it take you, I guess, to have everything completely done?
So I was lucky, and the editor I found was willing to take it on before it was finished, where a lot of editors will not. And so I was already working on the next chapters as he was editing. But I also, one of the best things that I felt like I did for my writing process was I found somebody that could just be one of my beta readers that did not know us before the accident. Because so many people that did know us, they knew all the story. So having somebody that, was a little far removed from us reading it was really helpful. I would talk about, different things, and she would come back and say, I really wanted to hear more about the driver. To me, the driver, my daughter was hit by a car. So the driver to me was so insignificant. But for a reader, I'm sure they're curious, how was it when he came to the hospital, all of that stuff, which to me, it was like such a blip in the story. But it was really nice to have an outside person tell me, no, I wanted to hear more.
Yeah.
So there was little things like that she was like, no, I need you to elaborate more. So that was the best thing I did, was finding someone that wasn't just a professional editor, but somebody that would be a potential reader that you didn't say enough here, elaborate. So that was very helpful.
Yeah. Now, besides being a public speaker, how does public speaking differ from writing for you?
Okay. So for public speaking, it was never on my bucket list. I've always loved to write, but my daughter is the one that wanted to become a public speaker, and she is missing the portion of her brain that controls language. They removed a big piece of her left temporal lobe. So when she said she wanted to be a public speaker, I'm just like, I'm trying not to laugh, but I'm like, are you kidding me? She has severe aphasia, which is a language disorder caused by brain damage. And she was almost, she was nonverbal for almost 2 years before we could actually have a conversation. So she wants to be a public speaker. I'm like, you've lost your mind. But as moms do, we do whatever we can to help our kids. And, so then I was like, okay, now how are we going to figure this out? So she can't do it without me. We make a good team. And so I was kind of forced into the job, but it's actually pretty great. And to see the way people perceive her and to see how much she inspires others, it's pretty cool as a mom to see after we speak, people line up for over an hour just to get a chance to talk to her, give her a hug. My line usually has like 3 people in it, but hers is like 200 people long, but it's pretty cool. So that's how the public speaking started. It was not by choice by any means. I've never been a shy person, but that was just never my goal, is to become a public speaker.
Yeah.
My goal was just to be able to take a bath by myself without someone banging on the door. So, I had small goals.
Now, did you always want to be a writer? Was that always something?
I don't know that I always wanted to be like a professional writer. I wrote a book a while back and it was kind of just like a legacy for my kids. And, I never tried to get it published or anything. Now that I've got a little bit more popularity, maybe I can bring out the old book. But it was always my therapy. So it was always something that it just kind of helped me look at situations and find the humor in it. That was like the best gift I ever got from my father, is his Irish wit. And it's kind of like looking for the positive. You look for the funny, and I love to laugh, and I love to make people laugh. So that was probably, my biggest motivator.
Yeah. Now, on your website, you document Lauren's recovery throughout each year. Did you always want to share Lauren's yearly journey with others?
Yes, and I kind of felt like we had a caring bridge early on, because we are a big family and we have a lot of family and friends and a lot of sports teams with each kid and schools and all of that. Our network was huge. And we started the caring bridge just as a way to get the message out about our accident. And, I also felt like that was kind of our network of prayer warriors that kind of helped us get to where we are. So putting the videos out, we didn't put anything out until after the first year. Whenever we showed pictures of Lauren, it was usually like with her walking, but it was the waist down.
Mhm.
And, Lauren was in a semi-vegetative state for months, so she looked terrible. And after she was getting better, it was fine to share that. But at the time, I didn't know what her future looked like, and I knew that she would want people to see her like that. And so we did share it later. We shared a lot of things on Carrying Bridge, but no photos or videos. But once we hit the 1 year mark, we started sharing the videos. And now she's proud to see that and to see where she's come. But without being able to ask her how she felt about sharing that, it was not something I was comfortable doing in the early days.
Yeah. Now, as you mentioned, you got support from like Taylor Swift, NSYNC, and a lot of other celebrities. Did you ever expect like so much support when you first decided to share what you and your family were going through?
Yeah, no, not at all. And it was just people, and I get people all the time that message me like, "How did you get Taylor Swift?" I'm like, if I knew how to do that, I would have done it ages ago. But it's people that knew us, that knew their management or whatever, really reached out, and it was just the goodness of other people. And like Lance Bass was the first video message that we got. And one of my girls, like when she was like 7 or 8, we had the Lance Bass magnet, and she was obsessed with NSYNC. So it was kind of like, what a great message for her. That was the first thing we got. It was like, things are going to be okay. Look at this. People are really helping us. So that was the first one that came in. And and I think people saw that somebody else did that, and they're like, oh, I know somebody that can help this family. And it was really, really cool to see.
Now, is there anything else you want to add about Murphy's Don't Quit?
Just that it is, it's kind of universal. You don't have to have somebody going through a catastrophic illness. It is just full of hope and full of laughter and full of tears. And it's just, who doesn't love a comeback story, right? It's just a real feel good story. And I'm super proud of it.
Well, Colleen, thank you so much for joining Book Hour. Before I let you go, tell viewers where they can find you on social media.
So our website is murphysdon'tquit.com, and Facebook is Lauren Murphy Recovery Page, and then Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter is at Murphys Don't Quit.
Okay. There you have it. Colleen's handles are in the description below. Colleen, thank you so much for joining Book Hour, and for those watching, I hope you have a great day.
Thank you.